So I grew up around a lot of sing friends, Punjabi, the color singers. And it was one of a traumatic experience because kuna a lot of like toxic beauty standards zimekwa in the community. For example, like for nilizaliwa nikiwa mnene. You know, I was very chubby. And for my mom, it was something to be proud of. But ningekuwa huku nje, I was so depressed. Ningecheza as young as like 3, 4 years. I was already in depression. You know, because my friends would tease me, oh, you're fat, you're fat. You know, I always thought there's something missing in me. There's something I don't have and the other girls have. Ningewaona like, they're slim, wako na figure, and then there was me, the fat, ugly one. Like literally until nifike like form 4, I never had the confidence. I never really thought I could be beautiful. So in the whole Indian boys group, no one ever had feelings for me because I am ugly, I am fat, you get me? So I always felt like I was left out, and some part of the Indian community still traumatizes me. So my name is Gurleen Kaur, and I'm an entrepreneur. I run an IT company and a marketing agency. So I launched my marketing company last year, end of last year, and my IT company has been there for 2 years. So we have coders from India and Kenya who work together. So we create customized softwares. We design complex systems. In Kenya, we usually have a limitation. These small businesses have limitations of accessing these expensive softwares, like let's say Oracle, SAP. So we design customized solutions for them. For example, an accounting system. You see, for supermarkets, they're all supermarkets, but they function differently. Neither one client is not neither the second client. So when you bring rigid systems in the market, not all businesses are able to adapt to them. So we actually customize. So kama process ya one supermarket ni kununua, then unaingiza stock. Wengine they work is kustock, like ingizing the stock and then now buying them. You get me? So they all function differently. So that's what you do for them. And for the marketing agency, we do branding, we do the strategy, we just deal with the whole digital space, how businesses look out there. So my dad was a Kenyan by birth. And a lot of people wananiuliza why my Kiswahili is so fluent, because my dad alizaliwa huku, alifanya 844, and he didn't have that accent. Like, oh, get me. But now my mom is from India. She's from Punjab. Yeah, so she's the one who majorly covers our, Indian traditions. Let's say Indian traditions in our house. Because my dad was like really detached. He didn't know his grandparents, because his parents came huku, his grandparents came huku to build the rail. So more of me, nimezaliwa tu huku, nimeshinda huku. India is, let's say, a primary, not a primary, a secondary home, and Kenya is a primary home. The beauty with my dad ilikuwa he started working when he was very young, when he was 12. So he worked as a mechanic, a lot of his time was spent into like the logistical side. So alikuwa anatengeneza magari, from there akakuwa polepole akagrow into a logistic manager. So for me currently, he didn't really have the seclusion, Indians had or have with the Kenyans. Yeah, alikuwa very interactive, like alikuwa anajua like Kikale, anajua Kikuyu, like he knows the Luo, like amefanya kazi na so many people. He would drink mursik, imagine. Angekula kumbi kumbi, these flying things. Angekula kumbi kumbi, like hadi I was amazed. Kuna siku alituletea kumbi kumbi, amezifunga kwa bucket. And you know what he told me? He told me the wings are removed, zinafraiwa, then they're eaten like they're taken like popcorns. And I'm like, oh my God, nilikuwa mdogo. I was traumatized. My mom alifunga hiyo kitu, all of them like flew away. It was like, he was so well integrated in the Kenyan culture. So part of me, I really give him like a lot of credit. I am here because of what he went through and what he's always taught us. Yeah. So yeah, that's like the background from his side. For my mom, ako very rooted into culture. She still has this belief, the Indian belief side, but she's very supportive. And she's always taught us, we are all humans. So this thing people always have, that sometimes Indians can be this way, this way. For me and my family, we've not had it because we've grown up with a Kenyan father, you know. So akisema on the internet naonanga akisema ati, you know, there are these videos they say ati a black family, whatever they say ati kurushiwa, you know, kurushiwa sijui kifagio. Hadi kwetu ilikuwa hivyo. My dad, you know. So yeah, I've grown up with that thing. Also like moving out of house. Ukiwa 18, toka kwa nyumba, live your life, you know. That's what my dad pushed me to, and my mom still does. So the wings I have is a product of integration of the Kenyan and Indian side. Yeah, so I really, really, really give the flowers to my dad. I am who I am because of the freedom my parents gave me. You know, in India, hakunanga love marriage. It's not like Kenya. It's arranged marriage. So my mom was in India and my dad was in Kenya, and they had never met. They had only like seen each other's pictures. So my dad used to work for some family, and that family was apparently in India. So alikuwa anatafutia my mom, my dad, a lady to get married to. So, you know, it was like brokering a marriage. And my grandmother in India pia na brokering marriages. So she's like, oh, there's this guy and there's this lady, they can get married. You know, if they have things in common, if she's 35 and the guy is 40, they can get married. So that's how my mom and dad got married. So my mom traveled from India alone, all alone. She's never like hajai panda ndege. She's never been alone on herself. And mind you, she just finished her Form 4, huku India, na katoka. Yeah, and I think she was 18, 19 at that time. So my mom and dad had never met. So my mom came and started staying in these people where my dad was working in their house. Na ilikuwa like, you know, Indians had this tabia, even in India, wanaweza kuwa na nyumba, wanaishi juu, lakini wako na biashara chini. And ukienda like a lot of setup huku sides za CBD industrial area, a lot of them are like that. Huku chini they're making something ya chuma, you know, and then wanaishi huku juu. So that's the setup where my dad used to work. I think they also had something related to engineering they used to do. So my mom alikuwa kwa huku balcony and my dad chini. So, you know, they used to write like love letters to each other. So my mom has really like amezieka, ni vile she doesn't let us soma them, but we know like amezificha somewhere in her documents. So that's how they met, and then like they got married. And they were actually, the marriage was initiated by the temple, Sikh temple Mombasa, because my dad was an orphan. Yeah, my dad was an orphan, and my mom, like, they weren't like financially stable. They were very humble. Yeah, so the temple came together, ikatoa pesa, and my mom and dad got married. Now they used to stay in the temple. In the temple kuna kuanga na some apartments, so they were given like a house kule nyuma. So that's how they met, and that's how I came to be. Okay, so for the love marriage in India, it's usually frowned upon. So in a basic setup, in India, this is in most regions, you know, in India we have like states. So you see, like in Kenya, we have counties, huku ni states. So in most states, they believe that a marriage is not just like two people, it's about the families. For a marriage to work, it's not just the two partners to work together, it's about the dynamics of the family. So the family inafaa kuelewana na hii family for this marriage to last. So that is why before a lady or a man was brought into the house, there was the first step. We have the broker. Mwenye angesema, yes, there's this boy and there's this girl. Also, it can just be a relative. They'll be like, oh yeah, your girl is aging, we have our boy. You know, we can get them married. So they'll take that's the first visitation. Now they'll do their research. The boy's family, watatafuta if the girl is of good character. And utmost thing in the Indian community, virginity is like highly valued till date. Yeah, so they do like a character test. Is this girl a good girl? Doesn't she, in the olden days, you know, doesn't she wear like short clothes and, you know, vitukaa hizo? And then the boys, the girls also assess the boy. Is he a drunkard? You know, does he beat? So kulikuwa na kale to small assessments, of course. And then kutakuwa na the boy and the girl meeting. In most cases they were meeting, but kuna zile few they never used to meet. Wanapatana tu the siku ya marriage and they get married. So in the Indian setup, kulikuwa na hii kitu, love is not just, you know, marriage is not just about love. There's the responsibility aspect of it. So, you know, in the Indian arranged marriage setup, you fall in love as maisha inasonga, you know. For me, I find it very traumatic. And I don't see myself huku. And the beautiful thing is my parents also don't endorse that kind of setup. For me, they've told me, be stable and then do whatever you want to do. Yeah. So like for my mom, if it were me, like honestly, I usually ask her, why didn't you run away? Like unatolewa tu, you're going, 7 seas across to meet someone you didn't even know about. So for me, it's very traumatic. I would never, never do that. Because also in the Indian setup, the reason why we think easy marriages in a last is because um, I've heard of a lot of stories. Wanasemanga, like, let's say the husband is abusive to the lady. That's one instance. The husband is abusive to the lady. The lady is not able to walk away because she doesn't have financial stability. So akitoka, who's going to provide for her and her children? So some ladies like decide to compromise. You get me? So on the outer side, tunadhani marriage is working, but it's actually not working. It's just, that compromising thing that the lady is there. In other cases, now we have maybe the lady-in-law is now abusing the man. Hataki kutoka because what will people say about them? And coming to interact with the other cultures, one thing I really appreciate about the other cultures, they don't have this thing at what will people say, what will people say. Kama haikupendezi, leave, exit. So in the Indian community, they usually focus on reputation. And it's very weird that their standards of reputation inaweza kufanya you compromise, you suffer just that people don't think bad about you. So the interest ilikuanga, like let's say if I'm from a certain caste, the boy has to be of the same caste ama a caste above. In terms of caste, inakwanga mostly also related to terms of also like money. Kuna hizi caste zenye ziko huku chini, ni hao watu wanafanya kazi like wanafagia and all that, so people associate because hawa kazi yao ni kufagia and to do specific work hawezi kuwa na pesa. So unaweza pata msichana wa like let's say mwenye ako juu, babake ako na pesa, if she marries someone poor from another caste, that's frowned upon. So interest inakwanga either marry huku ama huku juu. So of course ukimarry juu, there's that wealth in the family. But sasa ukiachana, there's not that interest, ni tu that people will talk about you and it will tarnish your reputation. For example, I'm going to give you an instance of myself. I lost my dad 2 years ago. And after that, we really, really pushed our mom to restart her life. So she's also a content creator, an Indian content creator. And, she's been posting stuff. But since my dad passed away, we have some people in the community when they're like, oh, she doesn't have like a husband, but she's posting, my mom is a very modern lady. She's very progressive. She wears jeans, crop tops, it's not something usual in the Indian community. You being a mother and wearing crop tops, wearing jeans and wearing like short dresses, like she's a very, modern lady, and we support her, we as the family, and my dad always also supported her. But the fact that my dad is not there currently, some people in the community are like, oh, she doesn't have a husband, she's posting on Instagram, she's doing this, she'll attract men. So people are always talking about something, you see. So we are like, because we don't have a dad, it's not like we'll stop living, we need to live. Yes, we do miss him. He was like a very integral part of the family, but we can't just stop living. We have to live, the kids have to live, you see. So that's the talking about people, the less talk. And in the end, it actually affects you mentally, because I'm sure also my mom has gone through this. Watu kuongea. In fact, people would talk that, my dad is the one who was running the family and not my mom. And you wonder how, at the end alikuwa anachunga watoto. My dad goes to work. My mom has been there present for us. You don't live in our family. How do you know what's going on in our family? So at a point that when we got to that loss, it really, really mentally affected us. My mom has undergone depression, a lot of depression. So she has a therapist we talk to her. So such things really affect people. For someone, especially when you're deeply rooted into the culture, like for her, she's very close with the community. Like for us as the kids, it affects us kidogo too, because it affects our mother. But if it's not for our mother, we wouldn't have been caring about it. So yeah, so kuna hiyo aspect of what will people talk. And in the community, it's always about what will people talk. And funny thing, people only talk about people who are not well off. Ukipata mtu ako rich and well off, they won't talk about you as much. They'll actually be blinded, because we are middle class, they would talk about people, when you're huku chini. So hiyo setup ya society in the Indian community, I personally don't like it. Contrary on this other side, you're allowed to marry who you want, you can date, and yeah, that's one downside. The caste system currently in India, it's frowned upon by the progressive people, that's the educated people, also by the government. There's some measures they've put in that no honor killings and such stuff. So initially, some years back ago, when there were the kingdoms existing, that time the community was actually put in social boxes, not because of their status, but according to, you see, well, in the African community, you distribute work. Like, let's say the Maasais have the Morans who are supposed to go fight, raid. Also now in this community, kulikuwa na hiyo kitu. Kulikuwa na some people that, you see, like in Christianity, they are the Levites, if I'm not wrong. The Levites are supposed to be the priests, So also in that setup, kulikuwa na a specific caste, a specific group that are supposed to be associated with the people praying, specific group wanafanya ukulima, specific group doing the blacksmiths, goldsmiths, specific group doing like the cleaning and stuff, and then you had a specific group for warriors. So after that, as humans, tuko na hii tabia, we always like identify things to always divide us. So it had like a good intention, but people started now separating themselves. So let me tell you the base of separation. First, ilikuwa the holiness. They had this mentality, the people who used to pray were the most holy. You get me? So holy people don't want to associate with unholy people. Second second way they used to do this thing was also class. So come to think of it as, the entrepreneurial people, of course, they'll have money. And then kuna watu wenye wanafanya the small works, kufagia, kuclean, those have like little money. So kulikuwa na pia classism within the caste. Now we have the outcast. The outcasts walikuanga mostly considered to do the unholy work. For example, like cleaning of, mtu akikufa, cleaning of the carcass, mtu, like let's say the cows, cows zinafaa kutolewa like tanning leather, the cow skin and stuff. That was now considered unholy. So kulikuwa na some outcast wenye walikuwa naambiwa wafanye kazi kaa hizo. So wewe umeshika dead body, wewe umeshika nyama, umeshika leather. So au watu juu wenye wako holy, they don't want to come and associate or even touch you. You get me? Vile tu kulikuwa in the Bible, we had the outcast. It was like similarly with the caste, but the initial intention wasn't as bad as it became. In India, we do have some people wenye wanafuata hizi stories are caste and stuff. And in India, we have surnames. Like my mom's surname is Matharu. So mtu, like an old person akisikia Matharu, they know where this caste is. It's a surname, but kuna multiple surnames that fall into a specific caste. So we have like Aurora, like Shiksha Aurora. Aurora specifically is like from another caste. So you get me? So by the surnames, you can always like identify which caste they fall into. So assume maybe I was from, let's say, a very low caste, and a boy's nini came. And the funny thing is, sometimes boys are allowed to marry from castes down, but girls when you from the upper caste weren't allowed to marry from down. Get me? Like the girls, yeah. So yeah, that's what happened. So for example, ningekuwa India, like the backward people in India would have been like, I can't marry from people from down. So nafaa kutafuta people from my caste. Wanasikia my name, and if there's a proposal for a guy that comes, they'll be like, oh, these people are goldsmiths, these people are blacksmiths, ama these people are farmers. Kuna kwanga na hiyo, there's that division also. Even in Kenya here, we have gurudwaras where the things go. There's always that divisions of, there's a caste called Ramgarhia, and there's another one of Jat. The Jat people are associated with farmers, like farming and doing all that rural work. Then we have the Ramgarhias, our entrepreneurial, or also the smiths, the blacksmiths, goldsmiths. So those are two different castes. In the Kalasinga setup, there are those two castes. So there are some places there are some temples that are associated with this caste and this caste. Though, funny thing is, you see the Kalasingas, their religion, one of the reasons it was formed, ilikuwa to eliminate casteism. The first founder, he's called Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He found the religion to eliminate caste system because when he was born, kulikuwa na lot of hiyo in Hinduism, at this caste and this caste. So yeye vile alifound the religion, alisema hatutaki casteism. And funny thing, they still practice it, double standard kind of things. So it's not that it's heavily practiced there, but of course we have those a few fruits of the basket that are spoiled that still do that. Currently in Kenya, I haven't seen a caste system issue. In the community, in the setup, everyone interacts very normally. So it mostly comes, whatever I've experienced in Akwanga when I go to India, nasikianga this person from this caste, this person this from this caste, with the older generation, not the current generation. You see, like in Kenya, the current generation, we are doing away with tribalism and such stuff. And some people are in the back generation are still clinging on. It's the same. It's similar to that with the caste system. The current generation, we are doing away with it, but kuna a few people from back, they're still like strong into caste. So I was born in Mombasa. That is, as I had mentioned, tulikuwa tunaishi ndani ya temple. So inside the temple usually have a lot of apartments. Sometimes the temple inakupea, just to help the community, wanakulowaria the rent and all that. So I grew up around a lot of sing friends, Punjabi, the color singers. And it was one of a traumatic experience because there's something I would love to touch on. Kuna a lot of like toxic beauty standards zimekwa in the community. For example, like nilizaliwa nikiwa mnene. I was very chubby. And for my mom, it was something to be proud of. But ningekuwa huku nje, I was so depressed. Ningecheza as young as like 3-4 years, I was already in depression. Because my friends would tease me, oh, you're fat, you're fat. So I grew up like with 5-6 girls. And there was another girl who also had a name like mine, Gurleen, and she was also called Gurleen. And funny thing is, they would identify me as the fat Gurleen. Ukiuliza which Gurleen, the fat Gurleen or the thin one. So I really grew up with that, and it really like brought me down. Singekuwa na confidence. I always thought there's something missing in me. There's something I don't have and the other girls have. Ningewaona like, they're slim, wako na figure, and then there was me, the fat, ugly one. Like literally until nifike like Form 4, Form 1, Form 2, Form 3, I never had the confidence. I never really thought I could be beautiful, and it started like that. So I transitioned into primary also. From Mombasa, we moved to Eldoret, the same school. I was in Aria, Mombasa, Aria now in Eldoret. Coming to Aria is a school by the Arya Samaj. That's also in the Hindu community. So we had a lot of Indians that were in that school. The same thing happened. They were all slim. They had curly hair. They could interact among themselves. And, huyo angeleta hii food, huyo angeleta chevda, huyo angeleta mamra. They would share. That is like class 1, class 2, class 3. I would bring different things. Vituka maziwa, biscuit, wafers, the Kenyan snacks, you get me? So I wouldn't ever be included in those, circles. While wangeni isolate, they always isolated me, class 1, class 2, class 3. So mostly that kind of behavior, nikikuja kuona pattern, ilikuwa watu wenye hawajazaliwa Kenya. Most of them, ama wako huku the first generation. How some of them were wazazi wenye walitoka wanafanya huku, with permits, work permits. And I'm not saying all of them. Some of them, I feel like they always put this mentality in their kids. So imagine nikiwa class 1, class 2, class 3, kungekuwa na hiyo division among ourselves. Especially with the standards, beauty standards, if you're interacting with Kenyans, hungekuwa one of them. So nikafika class 1, class 2, class 3, I always interacted with a lot of Kenyan friends, especially a lot of Luo friends. Like I had one specific friend called Ochieng, Fidel Ochieng, and he's the one that really helped me get that confidence, and he pushed me, and we all like hated on these people together. So that's what united us. So yeah, there were this group of people. There were this group of girls still date na kwanga traumatized. I don't follow them on socials. Wangekupea pencil, wangerudishwa pencil, wanaisanitize ndo wanaweka kwa set. unapewa bottle ya maji, you're not allowed to like drink it direct. Unafungua mdomo hivi ndo akumwagie maji, you know. So there were these things that I personally went through also, and my fellow friends went through, like fellow classmates went through it, and that's why we were able to relate. And ikafika point to nika accept like I am me and I can never be them, though like for a really long time it traumatized me, you know, because I was a child and I couldn't understand these things, like why is it happening to me? And that's why I grew up thinking that there's something I'm missing, you know. Nilikuwa nimekuwa chini, then let's say come for class 4 nikakuwa more confident, I started passing my exams, nikaanza kupanda huku juu. So after umepanda huku juu like number 3, number 4, now when you start topping, now everyone wants to associate with you, you get me? They're like, oh yeah, let's study together and all that, but hapo tulikuwa tumedraw line, coming, going forward, class 7, class 8. Of course, you know, in school tungekuwa na like those dating, so you like that boy, you like that boy, you know, kulikuwa na hiyo, you know, it wasn't like dating like currently, but the fact that you have feelings for someone. So in the whole Indian boys group, no one ever had feelings for me because I am ugly, I am fat, you get me? So I always felt like I was left out, you know, in a lot of things. So that's why till date I've never been able to recover from that. And some part of the Indian community still traumatizes me, as much as they're lovely and all that. Kuna kwanga na some people I don't associate with them because of hiyo tabia. Then also my friends hawangepewa food yao, you get me? Like, you remember I told you kungekuwa na break time kila mtu anabeba food, you know. For like I as an Indian, let's say I was in their group, ningekubaliwa like kuscoop food like from their teams. But like for a Kenyan, hungekubaliwa like kuscoop, unaekewa, you know, unaekewa na spoon ama unafanyiwa hivi. So I grew up, I also faced that, if I can call it, okay, it's not racism, but assume to, let's take it as racism. Whatever other people went through is what I went through too. Also, my sister went through the same thing because we went to the same school, and when we come and talk, she tells me the same thing. That's what alifanyiwa, you know. And I'm not saying the school is bad. Some people in that school, because I've met amazing friends. I've had another lady called Nishita. She was also very able, she was very versatile. She was able to interact the other side, and we are very, very close, up to date. So ni wale too few, you know, they selected a few selective people. And then hiyo sasa story unasema uko katikati. It's very true, because even currently on the internet, there's some people who'll stone me, oh, when you muhindi, you know. But I myself, I don't want to get associated anywhere, because yes, we have goods and bads on this side, also the other side we have goods and bads. So I don't feel accepted in on any side, you know, neither on the Indian side, neither on the Kenyan side. So huku nje you are on your own, you know. That's why I personally don't like getting associated with any groups. I was being rejected because I was fat. And another thing was, you know, my mom used to do for me 2 pigtails. So nilikuwa nakaa like niko na 2 pigtails. The other girls wanakuja kama wamefungwa nywele hivi, you know, they're like kind of sexy, kind of, you know. And then kuna mimi nilikuwa nakaa tu nerd, you know, I'm a nerd. I'm fat, nafanya pigtails, you know, and I'm ugly, you know, even to make matters worse. Like, that's the mentality now I had. And it was in me because they viewed me as that. We used to have like annual dances on prize giving days. No one wanted to lend me their ikitakuva, like the Indian dresses, because we are Punjabis and we wear different dressing. Now, wow, walikuwa navaa differently, like the open ones. Sisi, we have a scarf and the trousers. So hapo kwa kulending, my mom really struggled finding like outfits for me. First is because like of my size. Second of all, if I like borrowed within my class, wangekuwa like, oh, utaturarulia, you know, utatufanyia hii, utatufanyia hii. So I like really struggled with that. And my primary has been really traumatic, really traumatic. I only connect with a few people. I felt like I'm not enough for anyone. The only people that really motivated me was like my family. Till date, my family imenishikilia very strongly, up to date. You know, hawaniambiange, oh, uko hivi, you're hivi and hivi. My mom, she's a yoga trainer. she trains me, she's like, oh, let's do yoga together. But her concern is not on my appearance and stuff. She just says she wants me to be on the healthier side because she's a mother. Ladies have issues associated with, like let's say periods and stuff. So she's like, I want to be a grandmother, so I need you to be healthy. So she's never ever like brought my confidence down. She's always like pumped it. But people outside there, it's very different. So hadi sahi vile I am, nikienda in the Indian community, let's say nikinteract with some girls, I would always be like the least attractive according to their standards because I'm big. And now coming to now high school. High school is now when I realized, like, ikanifungua macho, like, oh, I can be beautiful. I can really be someone out there. So coming to Form 1, Form 2, I went to a Catholic school in Nakuru. And so we were very few Indians. So ukiwa the odd one out, like the only Indian, unakuwa ka celebrity kwa shule. So that's what happened. And I really, really am proud of that school and the person it shaped me to become. Because ningekuwa hapo, nilikuja na hii mentality that no, I'm conservative, I'm not beautiful, I'm this and that. Kukuja high school, like ningekuwa the center of attraction, and it was like a mixed school. I wasn't in boarding. So now that's when I really realized that unaweza kuwa like rejected in one side and utakuwa accepted in another community. And from that moment, like I've jailed up with Kenyans, like nimekuwa pro, and I appreciate like people when you are mistreat, because if they hadn't mistreated me, singe realize that, there's the other beautiful part of Kenya, where you can be accepted, where you can be loved, you love and you're loved back, So I think it really shaped me to become who I am, and that's why I have the confidence. And that's why very few Indian ladies out there would be able to articulate themselves as I can. They would be able to relate themselves with people the way I can. I feel like I have an upper hand coming now from my high school. My parents weren't really particular about which school I go to, but that time there were very like few selective schools. In Eldoret, there was that area. Actually, the schools I've gone to, it's only because they were like convenient, like to the distance, from my house. Because the one I went to nursery, like my dad used to walk me to school, and the one in primary, it was also like closer to our house. The other ones, zilikuwa boarding, and then a lot of Indians don't do boarding. Indians don't do boarding because they have this thing that the family is supposed to like stay together, and I feel like it's a good thing because nimeona watoto wameenda boarding, they're not like very very close with their siblings. I have friends wenye walikuwa close before they went to like boarding school, and then like after boarding all of them changed. So right now like we're very disconnected as a family. For us, we are very like close with our siblings and mom and dad because we didn't go to boarding. So a factor to consider first, of course, ilikuwa distance from home and if it's boarding or not. That's all. So hadi that one area, we took it because that was like the only school. That was like the only option available. There was another one, but that one was IGCSE. It's called Gulab Lochab. That one, like, it was too expensive because my parents were still starting. Coming to Catholic, pali we used to stay, there used to be a school van yenye ilikuwa inakujanga kupick watu. So one of my friends also used to go to this Catholic school and they were Muslims. So, my dad and the dad wanajuana, wanafanya kazi pamoja. So they also pushed me to that school. It wasn't like a tactical move. It was just a fluke. So it just happened that they took me there. And yeah, nili grow up nikienda mass, nilikuwa choir leader. Tulikuwa tuna dance, tunafanya praise and worship. Like I was very very active in that school. Ningeenda huku mbele, Catholic schools kuna kwanga na book. Hii day you're supposed to read this verse, hii day. So I would go in front, tunaimba, tunasoma Bible, and in fact like the principal wetu alikuanga sister, angecommend, oh, look at Gurleen, she's an Indian but anaweza imba na nguvu, anaweza ongea, lakini like Kenyan Christians wanakuja huku they're like fearful. But I don't think that was a factor. The factor was just that I got confidence from there. So yeah, that school really like shaped me. One thing, the best experience and the best thing that happened to me was me going for music festivals, because I had a Kiswahili teacher called Mr. Bernard. He really like recognized that potential in me, and he would always take me for festivals. And I wasn't doing poems. On the contrary, I was doing shairis. Ningefanya shairis na ningekuwa number 1, ningepata 97%. So people would be like, eh, ni mwindi, but you know, the expressions, the articulation. So he really like, you know, discovered that and like pushed me to my full potential. And because of that, I was able to like secure some scholarships because I went to some certain institute like for work. Like nilikuwa natafuta kazi after form 4 and they're like, wait, you have all these certificates and you know, unataka kufanya kazi, why you're not going to like university? I'm like, oh, I'm taking a break, blah blah blah. And they started like, you know, they sponsored me. So he really like played a major role. And then another teacher, I feel like I found a father in school. His name was Mr. Ojina. He was our deputy. Watu wangemwogopa, and then I would like be the one going and, you know, talking to him. But people used to call me a snitch, but I never used to snitch. Near to, you know, like if you're close with the teachers, they automatically think like you're snitching on them. So it's like very close. You know, kuna watu huku nje nikiwauliza unaweza enda shule and you talk to your teacher, they're like, ati mimi. Like for me, nikiendanga Nakuru, lazima niende nipatane na my teachers. I go to the school, because my sister also went to that school. We go to that school, we go talk with the teachers, tunapiga story, we just interact. Until today, that teacher, Mr. Gina, he acts like our father. Tukiwa na issues, my sister and I, we approach him, you know. He's been there. In my dad's absence, he's actually been there. My mom and dad have always been open. And kwetu tunasemanga, of course, I am a Punjabi, I'm a Sikh. I was born a Sikh. My dad is a color singer. My mom is a color singer. But I don't sell to the idea of religion. I practice more of the humanitarian side of it. I personally believe that all these religions lead you to one God, just that the cultures are different. And I feel like to follow a religion lazima tu ukue a better human, you know. Hakuna za ati oh, huyu Mungu ndo anasikia maombi, huyu Mungu anasikia maombi, you know, such a thing. So as I am of now, I'm not an atheist, but I just believe in all religions. I don't know if that makes sense. Naendanga church, nikiitwa mosque naeza enda mosque, you know. I'm very versatile, so I never had that thing. Also my parents were like very very supportive. All they told me is that when you're doing this thing, know how to respect the religion. So for example, if I'm going to a mosque, kuna vile sitavaa, you get me? If I'm going to church, najua vile nitavaa. And if I'm going to the temple, nitajua vile navaa, vile na dress, vile nakaa, vile interact with people. So no, my parents are like really really proud of me. Wangeenda shule wangeambiwa, oh, your daughter anaimbanga choir. My parents like have really supported me, like, and I think that they've played the majority role, because in a normal Indian setup also, like let's say if another girl alikuwa anataka kwenda music festivals, si tulikuwa tunalala nje. It was very very rare like a father to allow the daughter to stay away out from the house, you know, especially like all on her own. But my parents like never cared. They really wanted me to be independent, and I was really out there. So kikwetu hatukuwa na any issues of such. Where we stay, it's like an estate, and we have a lot of Indians staying there, and they're amazing people. But hapo kwa watoto, we used to play, and there'll be like one of our neighbors was like ati, oh, you know, girls shouldn't play football. Like I was very active in sports nikiwa high school, and the daughter, he also had a daughter, and the daughter never used to like play football. So ningekuwa goalkeeper. So ningevaa, you know, ningevaa tight clothes, vile unajua vile watu wa kucheza wanachezanga open, you know, loose shirts and stuff. So I used to go back to play with the daughter, and he'd be like, oh, you know, football is not for girls. That's his mentality. He's not a Hindu. He used to be he's a Muslim, but an Asian Muslim. He's a Bohra. So kuna siku aliniambia, oh, you know, they're not supposed to play football. Aliniambia tu kijokes, but I got offended. Also growing up, sasa what that thing has done to me, I'm very masculine, you know, in terms of my interactions. Even with the man, I wouldn't let the man now lead, you know, be it work, be it a relationship, be it my normal interactions. I have this, it's not a good mentality, but I want you to understand where I come from. Siwezi taka like a man anikanyagie. And for me, kukanyagia means like just controlling me. And I feel like it's a negative thing because I never let someone take the lead. I always want to be in front, especially when it comes to a dynamic of a man and a woman. Nataka kukaa like I'm a strong woman. So that way, I'm not really able to be soft. Nikiwa na mwanaume, I'm a masculine man, you know, because wewe unaniambia aje hivi. And it's not from my family, it's always been from the society. My mom has never ever like, she's always ametuweka equally. She's allowed me to do what boys do. Kikwetu kuna kwangana in the Indian community that I mean, mwanaume anaweza baki nje until 10, 11, msichana by 8 akwe kwa nyumba. Na kwanga Nairobi, there's not to supervise me, but anajuanga natokanga 2, natokanga 3. Like I have like a lot of freedom that very few Indian girls have, and all thanks to my parents. Hawajai nifunga anytime. So coming to that, hapo kwa now kuweka boy child juu, for me personally, that's my experience, and it's really, imeniharibia kiasi in my social life, because sasa inaka, kuna kwanga na those demure ladies. Sa mimi like, let's say mtu like mwanaume akiniambia ati no, hufai kufanya hivi, don't wear this, I'm like, who are you to tell me that? This is me and it's my life. Na to a point like tunaweza vurugana, like tupigane ngumi, ukinifanyia hivi na kupiga ngumi. Like I've become so masculine. I'm trying to like shukisha that masculinity down, but it's like trauma I've had, because I was always in this constant competition with the men, because my parents would be asked that, oh, you have only 3 girls, you don't want a boy, because I would feel like, what is it that a boy has, tungeenda India, mama naambiwa, oh, you guys are girls, let's have a boy. To a point that kuna kwanga na kuna some sachets, ati if a woman is pregnant, anapewa some sachets, ati akimeza hiyo sachets unaweza zaa like a boy. Ni to misconceptions to, people are making money through that. My mom aliletewa during her pregnancy with our last born, but she was a girl, nothing happened. Also my aunt, like they're very like they're open to girls. They've never had that mentality at boys and girls. But the fact that people outside would always question, so for me it was always a challenge. What is it that this man can do? So okay, in a way it was also good, because after my dad, like I'm in his shoes now, I can really, I say I can protect my family. Hata ikiwa kupigana na mwanaume, sijui anaibia my sister, whatever, tunaweza like pigana like na nimchape. So to that point, it's a good and a bad thing, but it affected me mentally so much. Prior to me going to India for the first time, it was like the first time nilipatana na my grandmother, my grandfather, my aunt and everyone. Prior to that, tulikuwa tumeongea kwa simu tu. Unajua kulikuanga na hizi landlines, unalipa I don't know 10 bob per minute. So we used to like talk to each other, I think twice a month. My dad could have taken like my mom to some, there used to be cybers, and then wame partition like the cybers, wameka landlines ndani. So we used to talk to my shosho via that, just, hi, hello, I am this, I'm Gurleen. So my mom used to like post pictures of me, and we had a camera ya Nikon, so that Canon, that one yenye unaweka film ya brown. So we would take pictures of that and we send it to my shosho. Shosho also sends pictures. And there was a time we used to communicate on letters, like tunaandika letters. My mom was the one writing. She also received. So I remember she received a letter from my shosho on like the death of her grandmother, like her dad's mother. So she received it like on a letter. So that's the only like form of communication we had. And then coming ahead, I think it was 2007, I think ilikuwa hapo before the clashes, you see. That time tulikuwa India and my dad was here in Kenya, Mombasa. So nilikuwa nimeland tu hivi. I had only seen like my grandfather and my aunt like on pictures. So tumetoka kwa airport, my mom is trying to spot them, she can't spot, and I'm like, Mom, there is grandfather. And she was so amazed. Hadi till date, they're like, they always bring up that conversation, the way I was able to identify them. They're amazing people. Like I was so happy. Like that's let's say me going to India, that was one of the best moment I usually cherish, like meeting them for the first time. Then waliniletea bag, imeja chocolates, imeja, like, and it wasn't a small bag, it was like a big bag. It had polo and everything. So we traveled to, now we were in the capital city. From the capital city to where my church stays, because India is very big, it's about like 8 to 10 hours, like from here to Mombasa, it's that distance, one state to the other. So tukaenda in like a sleeping bus. Kuna like these buses in India, it's so normal. Vile Kenya tunakaa hivi, huku unalala, kuna decks. So it was so weird. Tuko chini, then kuna mtu juu, then kuna mtu juu. So like three people in one deck, but still it was separated in like sleeping capsules. That was like something that opened my eye. Nikapanda train for the first time. The train traumatized me because you're in the washroom like you're pooping and then inaanguka kwa rail, and I was like, oh my god, like kiatu ikianguka imeenda hivo. So like I really like had like one of the best phase in life when I was there. I stayed there like for 2-3 months until like the clashes were over. Ndo sasa nikarudi, and then at that point I interacted with a lot of cousins. And when in India kuna kuanga na hii kitu, as long as umepanda ndege umetoka kutoka nje, you're like a socialite. Vile Kenya tunakuanga na ako Canada, mtu wa Canada ama UK akirudi yeye ni kaka celeb. So when I was in India, I used to be, I still am like because tumetoka nje, so we are viewed as like it's educated, progressive people, kitu ka hiyo. So that really even shields us from a lot of things. So juu naweza ropokwa na kitu and then niambie one of the relatives something, like, it's okay, them they don't understand. I get like a lot of leeway. I get away with a lot of things. With my family, with my mom's side, maternal side, I've had the best moments. They've never ever like had the Indian thing or imposed anything Indian, whatever we hear on us. They've always been welcoming. And by the way, they stay in an extended family. My shosho and the son, so my mom's brother, wanakaa pamoja. So it's my shosho, my grandfather, the son, the wife, and my cousin. Some people don't prefer it, but we have some people wenye wako open to it. First inakwanga like, let's say au wazazi wamekuchunga, yeah? So you're supposed to like give it back to them. Mnakaa pamoja, you take care of them in their old age. Number two ni cost share expenses, like ka nyumba ni 10,000, lakini most people in India have their own houses. Like funnily na vile Kenya, like let's say kila mtu, like let's say anakuanga na means of transport, ka ni bicycle, huku ni lazima like kila mtu akona like land. So hawatakangi hiyo division ya land ati juu unaweza pata let's say ni 1 acre and then hawataki hizo multiple divisions, so they just say that mnakaa pamoja. So hadi kwetu ni hivo, you see. And the typical Indian setup, my shosho was running a school down and tunaishi juu, you get me. So nilikuwa naenda kwa hiyo shule like kuna wanafunzi, she's the principal, anawafanyisha like exams, everything, na tunaishi juu. So I interacted with a lot of people. And yeah, so wakiwa in the extended family tunaendanga, we don't do any shopping or anything, they just take care of us vizuri. Now then we have the external family apart from our internal. Now we have the cousins of my grandfather. Au wanabichingi sometimes, but they're all welcoming. They have this thing that, you're not like, you're a girl, sijui nini, why you not. And most of the time we always clash with them. And my mom is like, no, relax. Huku inakwanga hivi, hadi shosho like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. So wanajuanga kina Gurleen wakikuja, don't mention anything about being a boy or a girl. And number two, don't mention anything about their mother. Because like after the death of my dad, they have this thing at, my mom uploading things, or sometimes to your thing that, get married again, blah, blah, blah. My mom is like really strong there for us. So we don't want like external interference in our family. Yeah. And that also like pisses off some people in the society, because other people wanakubalingi other people to dictate what happens in your house. For us and our household, my mom has never allowed any interference. My dad also doesn't allow any interference. So you don't tell us what to do in our house. As I told you, my dad amezaliwa huku. He hadn't ever been to India until like he met my mom. And we went with him like the second or third time I visited India. So hana any connections na his great grandparents, because he lost his parents akiwa 13, 14, and he was the firstborn. So akachukua responsibility ya both of the sisters. So currently we have my father's sisters. Wako mmoja ako hapa Nairobi na mwingine ako Mombasa. So tukienda tu greeting, hi, hello. But ni vile we are not as close. Yeah, they are amazing, lovely people. Ni vile tu we are not as close as on my mom's side. Ladies are usually very emotional. So they bring in all their families. In a normal setup, I don't know why people are so disconnected from their father's side. And I feel like it's because fathers are not emotions. How I can't give those emotions, Danny, that this is my sister, my lovely sister. You see, for my mom, I talk, let me call her. I've not talked to my sister. Let me call her every day. My shosho, my grandmother, my shosho, my aunt and mom. tuko na group naonanga tu they're always chatting, they're always on call, wasipoongeleshana 1 or 2 days wanadhani there's something wrong, you know. So like I think there's that emotional disconnect too, because coming it was a man handling that side, but we are all too in touch. I personally feel very triggered because there's nowhere documented that being an African or Kenyan means you have to have a darker complexion. In terms of law, you are a Kenyan if you're born in Kenya, you know, a Kenyan nationality. Be you ukiwa yellow, blue, color green, it doesn't matter as long as umezaliwa Kenya, when in Kenya. So it really pisses me off when people start, you know, secluding you based on your complexion. I'm no less than a normal Kenyan, nimezaliwa Kenya, you know. I don't have to, you know, there are other creators on the internet, my friends, they always feel triggered because wanaulizwa ati, you know, are you a Kenyan, ati rudi India. So ako like, should I be walking with my ID card nime stick on my head nikiwa prove that I'm a Kenyan, you know? This that kitu tuna feeling triggered. I also feel triggered, and for me, like kama kina shosho hawangekuwa from India, like India would have been something so unfamiliar. I wouldn't even have been going to India. Ingekuwa tu nimeenda once kutembea na nimerudi. Kenya is home, and it really feels it's very painful knowing that people from your house ndo sasa wanaku pull down. For me it's an emotional thing because I'm really really deeply rooted huku. In fact, there's a comment nilisoma. I was talking something about I think corporates, Indian corporates, and someone is like, atiambia babako to stop mistreating people. Like, you know, you how have you, like my dad is not even alive. You literally jumped into a conclusion that you're mistreating Kenyans, you know, like we have a business and you're mistreating people. Like how do you even jump into such a conclusion? So for me it's very triggering, but on the digital space I've come to embrace. You'll find all sorts of people. You'll find the educated, the uneducated, and also coming from their POV una find that mtu ako na uchungu, maybe alikuwa anafanya kazi muhindi amemistreat. And I usually call out a lot of Indians. I have like Indian friends who have fathers who have hardwares, and you know they're always mistreating. I also don't associate with a certain group of friends when you're nakwanga like, oh, the blacks this, the blacks that, you know. Nimeka like strict boundaries. You want to be with me, we are all equal. If we are friends, we are all enjoying, you know, nothing talking, you know, shit about this person or that person. So for me nakwanga something that really triggers me, and sometimes I really feel emotional when I am a Kenyan, but for me to be a Kenyan mnaniekea something that I'm supposed to have a darker complexion. The way someone treats you doesn't talk about the community, it talks about their character, how they've been brought up, you know. Because of course every market has its own madman. I have worked with corporates. There's a corporate I won't mention, but ilitufanyia vibaya. Like we put in like millions, we did something for them and then they rejected, you know. Ningekuwa bita, ningekuja kuscrutinize people from that specific community, but I didn't. You know, we are all humans, things happen, you know. And I do really feel for people who have gone through that, because I have my friends on Anyambianga, they, you know, these mean things they've gone through in these Indian companies, you know. They have parents who like committed suicide because a certain company wasn't ready to pay them. Like nasikianga uchungu nyingine, nasikianga tu kind. If I had the ability, you know, I would really absorb in the pain, and if I had the financial capability, I would really want to compensate all these people, because the things some people do just because, you know, wao ni Wahindi, you know, inakwanga very bad, especially the bosses. I had a friend mwenye aliniambia she was almost like harassed, you know, sexually harassed because like by an Indian boss, you know, just because she's you know, such things. I really find nasikianga uchungu, but at the same time nasikilia watu uchungu. I don't want you to tell me because oh this certain person is an Indian and you know you happen to be of Asian descent, all of you are the same. No, people who have interacted with me wananiambianga like, you know, you're so different, you know. It's cause like ukiwa na mimi there's no that I don't really care where you're from, you see. And not also in the Indian community, not all of them are like that. You see, we should be open, you know, na vile watu wanatreat wengine, that's an individual character, not a communal. So let's, vile watu wanasemanga watu wa mlima wanapendanga pesa and all that, but isn't it human nature? Who doesn't love money? Ni vile tu we like associating it with, you know, people from the mlima, but everyone loves money, you know. Tunasemanga, oh, there's a certain community, they marry like many ladies or many, but kuna some other men from other communities also, you know, cheat and marry many ladies. So I don't think it should be, because coming to religion, which religion would teach you to mistreat people? Islam doesn't, Hinduism doesn't, Christianity doesn't, you know. Inatuambianga treat everyone equally. So kusema, oh, Hindus are like that. No, no religion teaches you to mistreat people. It's all about your personal, the way you are, your personality. You have a bad personality, you have a bad personality. So in our community, kuna kwanga na hii kitu ya boys and girls. Somehow, men are always, you know, taken to be wako superior, you know, in some setups. Like I had like a group of friends. We used to be 2, 3 girls, and a lot of them were boys. You know, the parents or our boys were like very proud because they are boys. Because like for us, Pia, we are 3 girls, and then my mom was always asked, "Oh, you don't want a boy? You don't want a boy?" You know, hata kendanga inda anauliza, "You're only girls. You guys don't have a brother?" And I'm like, "What is it that this brother can do that I can't do?" You know. So the transition really happened before I repeated my KCSE. Yeah, like it's not repeated, like sikukalia the first time, so nikakalia the second time. So I repeated Form 4 basically. Because when I was in Form 4 the first term, kulikuwa na COVID. COVID really hit, like my dad got COVID. So, and that time my mom was in India, so I was like taking care of him. And I really like lost a lot of time during that period. And what I knew was that for me to like leave my father's house, alikuwa ameniweka condition, you must pass and you must go to university to get a degree. So I knew if I went to like school at that time that I've not been reading, ningeanguka. So I didn't go to school. Results zikitoka nilikuwa na X, as in hata hakukalia. So I registered for the next, like nika registered the same year. You remember there was this time ya COVID, there were 2 KCSEs done in the same year. So I was in that category. So I did like that KCSE that time. So I repeated. I got very supportive teachers. There are some teachers who used to ask me, "Oh, Lynn, just come, you know, just come finish your school and all that." But I'm like, I don't want to fail. So nika repeat, nikaanza kujua that, you know, I can do this, this and that. So that push I wanted was like just passing, and I knew my parents will let me go outside. And because kuna kwanga na hii stereotype, and partly it's true, wasichana wasipoenda shule, wasiposoma, like some in the Indian community, they just get married away, you know. So that's like your life, like all the people I've seen, like even my mom. Yes, my mom came from India. She set up a very beautiful, amazing, stable family. But I usually feel for her because she wasn't able to achieve her dreams. She just got married. So me, marriage traumatizes me. Nikasema, I don't want to stay at home you know, be useless and then go get married. So that pushed me out there. Then I got support. And hapo kwa KCSE, like after I repeated, before repeating, I was strong in kina history, I was strong in physics, I wasn't strong in maths and like the technical subjects, maths na chemistry. So I was very weak at that. Ningepita hizi not useless, but less less important subjects, as in yenye ziko na uzito. You know, in KCSE kuna hizi subjects zenye ziko na uzito, because maths is not history, you know. That's what I mean, like history is not geography. So that's what I meant, like ya uzito. So is it the subjects that I was supposed to perform in, kina maths and kina chemistry, I wasn't passing as much. Nilikuwa too average. Then after I repeated, I met this amazing online teacher. Alikuwa anafundisha in some school, but sasa they changed it to virtual, so I also joined the classes. It's called Mr. Clement. So he really like pushed me. I used to love, vile nilikuwa form 1, I used to love chemistry, biology, but hapo kwa chemistry kuingia form 2, vile nilikuwa naendanga music festivals, kuna hii topic inaitwa salts. Si unajua hizo salts, sijui, you know, hizo reactions, I missed that. And salts ilikuwa like the base of chemistry. So nilikuwa music festivals, tuna practice, sasa nikazima from chemistry. Kwa hivyo hadi form 4. before I repeated. Then after I repeated, I had this teacher and actually passed. I got a B plus, and nikapass maths with flying colors. That Mr. Ojina was telling you about, nikapata A. I really performed well in after repeating. So after that, nikapata confidence. Sasa nikatoka na nikapata scholarship. My dad also pushed me. My dad was so happy. Hiyo time results zangu zilitoka. He bought like boxes of milk akapeana. In the company we have people working. So he was so happy. Alinunulia kila mtu njugu. Akawapea maziwa. Like my dad alikuwa mtu wa watu, and I feel like I got that from him. He would, like, after his death, like, people till date wananikumbushanga that, oh, your dad this and your dad that. This, I used to drive my dad's car, and my dad angeniambia ati uta drive after form 4, you'll drive after form 4. So pali tunaishi, we stay where he used to work, in the company where he used to work. So angeambia like all the askaris, usikubali msichana atoke nje. So they knew that I'm not supposed to get out of the, na akawambia, oh, utaendesha gari after form 4. So all the drivers, they knew all that. So, that's why when I passed, like, everyone celebrated. Yeah, I have a quite supportive system back at home, especially with the people who worked with my dad, my dad's bosses. Yeah, by the way, my dad's bosses are also Indians, but are very, very supportive. Like, after my dad, they've really been supporting our family. Wako very present. Yeah, kuna kwanga tu na other cultural aspects inakuja kuplay, but his boss, like, he's the best. He's good with girls, he's proud of us. He's always guiding us and everything. The first time I actually started working, nilitoka home na hii mentality that I need to earn money. I'm going to Nairobi to earn money, not just to, enjoy life. So I was staying in these apartments called Kwetu Ruaraka, you know them, yeah? So in those residences, we had these groups where people were selling like food and stuff. Though it was like not allowed, but still people were selling like hot dogs, people were selling like mocktails, milkshakes and stuff. Nikasema, why not me? And I started selling bajia. Like ndani ya group. So like, say I was in my residence, yeah. So we weren't allowed to carry gas. We were using induction cookers. Because our ni students, they wouldn't come home and cook. So what I used to do, naenda asubuhi, I attend my classes, narudi, naenda Naivas, nanunua waru, nanunua vitu za bajia. I come home, oil, everything, I fry, and then like I advertise in the group, I'm selling bajias for 150 bob. So that week, I earned like a profit of like 6K. And nikasema, I'm not going to stop this work. So I sold like, let's say for a month. And then I met this amazing friend of mine. His name is Harris. Na akaniambia that najeka chini sana nikiuza bajia. Like he was telling me, you can do like better stuff. Yeah, he has this mentality that kuna some stuff like haizi kupea that much money, like let's say kuuza bajia. So he showed me like better things to do where you can earn like more money. So akanifungua macho. So I think the best thing that happened to me in university is me meeting this specific friend, Harris. And he really changed my perspective about life, because I had this thing that I'll get my degree and work in a good company. And in fact, my dad specifically, unajua yeye hakusoma, alianza kufanya kazi 13, 14, so he could provide for the family. So my family has really been strong on education. So my dad always told me, oh, study and then you get a good job. Because he was limited to that, study and get a good job. And then now I came, you're like, study and, become an entrepreneur. So after I met this guy, he used to invest in stocks. He does trading, but not like the coin trading, the actual trading. So he showed me some things. I started investing in stocks, and that was like my first step. I invested in stocks. Then kidogo kidogo, I was telling you, I got sponsorship from some specific company. Then I had like a lot of money. Nikaanza kutembea Nairobi. Hakuna siku ningepika kwa nyumba. Napata tu pesa hivi, nimetoka nje, I'm in this mall, that mall. Like, nilikuwa napenda kutembea, because you see this type of setup ya Nairobi, it wasn't there when I grew up. Because nilizaliwa Mombasa, nikaenda Eldoret, and then tena Nakuru, So it was like a cool setup. So I wanted this busy life, where there's the hustling and bustling. So nikaenda, like, ningepata pesa, ningeenda Garden City, because that was the closest. Garden City, TRM, naenda, like, ningekuwa Ruaraka, hapo also, but ningeenda hadi Karen, just to eat food or try a specific place, because they gonna hear excitement. So yeah, that happened. Then I started traveling, pangaing for camps. Now that is the time I launched now my travel agency. It's actually opened my eyes so much that I can identify any opportunity and figure out ways to make money from it. Like, I do event organizations, si ati nilisomea. I just organized 3 and 4 events and nikapata hiyo confidence. Now I know like the cheapest places to source things. And right now we have an event coming up. It's a private birthday party for some American guy, and we're hosting it in Limuru, you see. So I'm very dynamic. Ukiniambia we have to do this, I'll figure out how to. Okay, I am like a jack of all trades, though wana frown upon that, but I have that confidence. Kutafuta pesa, I can do anything, like I'll figure out. Ukiniambia I want to start this, I want to do. I've done importations in university. I've imported stuff from China, nimeuza. Like I've done so much. I've touched up on like a lot of businesses just in a short span. You get me? Yeah. So I think I'm really happy I came to Nairobi. Well, I view entrepreneurship from a wider lens. I feel like anything can become entrepreneur. Like anyone can become an entrepreneur. Yeah. Any small opportunity opens for you doors. You get me? When I was in my university, I'm fond of traveling. So I was like, why don't we travel with our friends? And do you know, I launched a traveling agency, and currently I just work with corporates. So I was like, I'm paying for them for free. Why don't I charge people like money? You get me? So that opened a door to that. And then I had an issue with my laundry. So I opened a laundry some years back. So, small issues, small things can actually open for you wider doors. It's all about thinking. Like another experience I've had recently, the fact that I'm an Indian who came on TikTok and started, these videos. I've had so many schools like approach me to train them for music festivals. Currently, I'm training like 3, 4 schools for the Indian dances and stuff. You get me? So now I've known that's now a entrepreneurial thing. Next taking year, I'm going to launch like official classes. You see? So I feel like businesses ziko mingi, it's all about creativity. And siku hizi with this generation, they're full of creativity. Like on TikTok tuko na hawa watu wanapeleka watu Gikomba kubuy stuff. You see? So, it's not about entering fields that already exist. Kani laundry ati mnaanzisha laundry. No, wewe anzisha kazi ya kufold. Nimeona other people wanapanga kabati za watu because Nairobi people don't have time. So you hire them, wanakupangia kabati. Vitu very creative. Let me even amaze you. I don't come from an entrepreneurial background. From my maternal side, my mom's side, wote ni teachers. And from my dad's side, we have a very small family. And my dad also used to work. You see, he's not there currently. Then we have my aunts. Pia wao, they're just married ladies. So I don't come from a background yenye, we are well off or something. But uzuri ni we learn. Like for me, how it worked ni, I was traumatized seeing my dad like being employed. Angelala 12 anapata call, oh, hii gari imeanguka. So he was really under pressure. Akapata diabetes, akapata blood pressure. So that is the thing that actually drives me. I don't want to work for people. I want that freedom, freedom of time, freedom of money, getting whatever you want to, without like going back and looking at your pocket. And of course, your family responsibilities and all that. So I feel like pia inakwanga responsibilities. For example, we have young students out there. Wanaweza kuwa wanapata 30,000 pocket money, but since they're getting it from their parents, wanaitumia tu vibaya. And when like life inawachapa, ndo now they start realizing the essence of the 30,000 they were wasting. Then wanaanza kukua creative pole pole. Because here in Rongai, there's a lady nilipatana na yeye. She actually, I even bought these ones from her, this jewelry. Anaenda Dubois, she sources those jewelry like for 50 bob. And I bought this bracelet for like 650. What's the profit margin there? It's very high. You see, it's all about creativity. She studies here in MMU, and in the evening she's selling. Simple stuff really makes you money out there. So it's all about, opening your mind. Si ati lazima umeenda shule ufanyie watu kazi. It's trauma that also pushes me to that. I'm really close with my sisters. Like I'm like their mother, like their second mother. So stakangi familia yangu after, especially after my dad wakose kitu, you know, my sister aseme anataka hii namnunulia, that means ati oh nakutafutia pesa and all that. I think that's one thing that inanimotivate. Secondly ni trauma ya kufanyia watu kazi, like after my dad he actually got sick because of hiyo pressure and stuff, you know. Of course you're working for someone, they have expectations, but unapigiwa simu 24/7, unakuja kwa nyumba uko so stressed, depressed, and you know you can't even talk to your girls because utaambia aje watoto ati I'm being done this at work, I have stress for this. So that's the trauma. I don't want my family to go through that pressure yenye my dad went through. Anataka watoto wangu wajue my mother is there, anaenda work but she's there present for me, cooking and you know such things. My dad was an amazing guy. You know, tunasemanga wanaume wanakwanga patriarchal. My dad wasn't, because he grew up as a mother of his siblings. So for us, there's a time my mom had a surgery for 6 months, so she wasn't able to move. My dad, I was sick that time. I had an issue. So angeamka like 4 in the morning, ananipikia mushroom soup and garlic bread. My sisters anawakandia unga, anawatengenezea chapo. Like that's how good he was. He was a very present dad. So hadi wanaume wa siku hizi akiniambianga ati no, I can't enter in the kitchen, ama someone like makes an effort of entering the kitchen and maybe cooking, you know, I don't see it to be special because nime grow up my dad akinifanyia hizi vitu. So me, my standards of like a man inakwanga juu because of what my dad did for me. It's just like he was on another level. Also for my mom, I find my mom is a homemaker. Anakwanga, like she was mostly at home, angepikia my dad. So we have this setup we usually had. Dad ndo alikuwa analeta the bread, and then my mom you know, and I do it like that. So for me also, as much as I'm a corporate lady, nakwanga na he drive that as much as I'm working, I know I have to come back home and cook, you know. I have my sister staying with me. So I know I have to come back and like cook for my sister. You know, it's just kuna kwanga na some ladies wanasema, and I respect their opinion. Ka they're like working, they can't like come home and like clean. Naelewa wanachoka and all that. But for me, things just work differently, you know. But I don't want it to be something like a man in the future would ever, you know, use it against me. I need a man also to be there to help me. Saa zenye like I can't cook, like you go cook, you know, because you know, like equal distribution of work also. I'm not trying to say a woman is better than a man, or a man is better than a woman, but really the dynamic we may grow up in, I feel like, you know, things can be done equally. Currently dad is not there, and my mom is like giving out these yoga classes, and she earns good money. You see now, really the father is not there, she's earning money and now bringing it to the house. I personally, I feel like I'm not in the mental state to maybe be with someone fully, because I feel like I have a lot of responsibilities, and in one way or the other, I'm going to drain the other person. You know, in terms of those saying I'm very masculine and stuff. I do have very good friends that are men that really support me, you know, nikiwa a problem emotionally or something. But I don't think like nimefika hiyo kitu yenye nitasema I'm ready for a relationship. Because also I need a partner that I'm going to grow with, not ati oh ananiletea pesa kwa meza. No, I need a partner that I'm going to grow with, you know, a partner that ata support back my family when you need term support and, you know, such kind of things. And I feel like I'm still too young to rightly identify. So I'm still like working around, you know, my life and for my siblings and for my mom and, you know, the rest. But uzuri is that I know my parents have always supported me. So nikileta mtu, they wouldn't ever say that, you know, no. Currently, of course, the major support my family inataka from me pia is partially finances. But the beauty with my mom is that she's the one who actually stops me from doing certain things. So assume I'm supposed to get some finances and use for myself, and I end up using it for my siblings or something. My mom will always have that financial support, you know, she'd give you cash, go do your things. So it's not like that they're extremely, you know, rock bottom. They're also very stable. And in terms of that, I've always, you know, had like very understanding siblings. So assume I needed cash to, let's say, fulfill a dream of mine, and my sister needs cash to do something. We are in such synchronize whereby she would also like make the sacrifice and be like, no, you have to do this. there's a time I was the time for like I was running the laundry. The laundry like you used to eat my time, and I would also end up working like till midnight or something, just trying to like earn some money. And my mom like encouraged me. She's like, shut down the business and go back to university. I have like two semesters I was back. So she really pushed me and she's like, no, go, leave this work. It's not as important, go back to school and study. So I feel like when I lose track, I have a very supportive system that are always ready to put me back on track. Coming from my grandmother, coming to my aunt, they're very supportive. They're always there throughout to guide me. And I have my mentor, of course. I have a mentor who I met, and he really opened up my eyes, and he really changed life for me. And apart from Harris, he's the second person, like, I would love to give credit in the entrepreneurial world. He introduced me, and he's also there always to mentor me. So if it weren't for the support system I have, I would have really been, forgetting my dreams. But the beauty is you can do everything at the same time. Like for me, I used to go to university, still come and work, and still do like other hobbies, like the current setup also. I'm still doing digital creating, I'm still I'm adding another like degree to my portfolio. I'm still running my two businesses. And on the side, I'm still like teaching, the classical dance. And I've made time for everything. And I'm doing what I love. So I don't really get bored. So I'm doing what I love and earning money from what I love. So I don't think I'm really, compromising my dreams here. Because my dream, what's a human's dream? To have financial independence. So any channel that can lead you to financial independence, you'll work on it. So as I told you, it started like right from the beginning. In our house, entrepreneurship wasn't a thing. It was all about like employment, working for someone to earn money. So what really pushed me in our community, or the setup I was brought up in externally, there was a lot of classism. So I knew that if you have enough money, you're going to be successful. So for me, dreams weren't really about achieving something. It was all about money. So immediately nilitoka kwa nyumba, for me to be not judged, for me not to be, be independent, be like a strong woman, I must have money. So I came out from home knowing that I need to look for a job, a high paying job yenye itanipea a lot of money. And then vile nilikuja Nairobi nikaanzisha hizo biasharas and stuff, ndo now I realized kuna now the other part of life, and I thought of diving into entrepreneurship. When people think about entrepreneurship, they think it's just a stepping stone. Trust me, employment is way easier than entrepreneurship, because entrepreneurship is not something you just achieve. Entrepreneurship, a business is like a baby, unafaa kuwa hapo, especially ikigrow. So the startup phase, you really have to invest a lot. You can have a business that's earning billions, but you have no profit in it. So it's like you're just running, you're just running for the sake, but you have to see like the future picture of it. But this baby akigrow, I'll start earning profits. So there are so many times you have to sacrifice, unakosa kulala like at night, you're doing, like, if you're starting a business, when do the CEO, when do the secretary, when do akusafisha, like you're everything, you see, kabla igrow na ifike a point. So watu wanadhaningi like for entrepreneurs things come very easy. Ask people out there. We have like online entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is, it's not self-employment. It's anything that can generate you revenue without you being there. We have businesses, let's say Dubois, wanauza online and stuff. For other people, it doesn't work online. For them, it works on like offline, like, one-on-one. But for them who know that it doesn't work for them online, how many years have they invested, in that business to know that where their client base is? It's not as easy as it comes. So for me personally, entrepreneurship, what it has taught me is now that being dynamic, it has enabled me to be dynamic. And I really appreciate that my friends like opened my eyes to this. And people wanasemanga outside there, hakuna jobs, hakuna employment. I understand, hakuna job na hakuna employment, but tukifungua macho, tukithink out of the box, I feel like tunaweza jitengenezea, job opportunities. Because I feel like pia sisi as the younger generation tunakuanga na some standards. Kuna vitu hatuwezi fanya, of which it's wrong. Kama kuna friend of mine alikuwa in high school. He didn't have parents na alikuwa an older guy, alikuwa 19 tukiwa form 2. So alikuwa ananiambia anavuta mkoko ya maji, anaeka maji and then anaenda kuuza. There was a place in Nakuru hakukuwa na maji. So alikuwa anavutanga mkoko kwenda kuuza hiyo kitu. You see, as much as he's doing it out of necessity, but at the end of the day angejilisha, angelipa fees yake, and he was able to sustain himself. Yeah. So in this current, generation, tukianza kurely on people to give us job outside there. I've tried the employment world, it's hard. Politics ziko kwa kampuni hawatakubali. Ask like Gen Zs wanaenda huku nje, like they're suffering. Generally people, they just think that this younger generation is mad, they don't know anything. You get me? So wanakuwa mistreated. Unapata mtu ako attachment, amekuja kufanya attachment kubwa, anaambiwa, a clean, ama awalete coffee, awalete maji. Sasa anakuwa like, a pauper, vitu ndogo ndogo, you see. So employment is also not easy out there. Kupata kazi, people nowadays, they want experienced people. Generally, even when I go to close a deal, we have our MD. So for me, since I'm young, we hired an older MD. He's like 50, 60. He's the one who comes with us to close deals. Because generally, watu wako na hii mentality that young people hawezi fanya kazi vizuri, or they're not experienced enough, you see. So there are a lot of challenges in the corporate world, but ikifika point tukianza kujitengenezea pesa. I have a friend, he earns 100,000 a month from like a toilet. Do you know what he did? Alienda in some petrol station, akajenga toilet. He used almost like 90,000 in a petrol station. Na huku aside hakuna any other toilet. Na huku ndio stage. A very young guy, and then he's earning 100,000 from like quarter pesa, like, 20 bob, 20 bob, 20 bob. That's something that, doesn't even need a lot of knowledge of doing things, just something very simple, a small gap identified, ushafanya. You see, also huyu mwenye nilikuwa nakwambia ameenda kupeleka watu Gikomba, unaenda kutafuta, such things. So I feel like entrepreneurship with the current generation, that's the next way out, you see. Kama mtu ameshindwa kujipikia food, enda umpikie food, earn money from that. Small things too, ndo itapush watu ahead. For me, things have played out very differently. I've always had an upper hand in such cases. For example, because mtu akiniangalia the first time, sikangi, like very young. A lot of people, when I told them to like guess my age, they guess on a bracket of 28, 30. So generally, when I'm meeting someone, they already have this mentality that she's a grown-up lady, and they don't associate me with the, But generally, also, you're supposed to be wearing very, neatly, confidently, because vile utaona someone for the first time, it really matters. So kuna watu, like, let's say you're going to close a deal, umeva like formals, but hujafunga, button, those small tiny details huwa zina matter how this generation wanatu perceivingi. Number 2, our generation sometimes has an issue of talking a lot without like listening to people. So with a lot of older generation I've interacted with, one challenge they have is relating with the younger generation, because they don't listen to them. Utapata wanaambiwa kitu, wanadhani tu, au watu wanapigia kelele or something. Sometimes it's good to like lower our ego kiasi tu, though we can be accommodative. So I think the biggest challenge inakuanga tu kukuwa accommodative kwa someone. When you're accommodative to someone feels comfortable, you see. Like this podcast, when I came, I wasn't very confident, like nilikuwa tu chini, but you see the way your team accommodated me, imefanya like nifunguke, and like I now trust you, you see, such things. So as younger generation, let's not be rigid, let's not have this thought that, old people don't know whatever, they've lived in this world longer than us. So it's good to like learn from the experiences, because half of the things I know and for the businesses I've done, it's because I listened to my mentor. My mentor is an old guy, and he taught me everything. He packaged whatever he learned in 50 years, and he's been giving it to me slowly. 2-3 years, nisha grow. 2-3 years, nisha grow. there's nothing that comes more is more important in the business world more than the value you offer. For example, we can be designing maybe a system, like let's say we have different tiers of systems we design. We have the, of course, the affordable one, then the middle tier, then we have the pro one. You see, for our clients, do you know, we usually just give them the pro version. They can test it like for 1 or 2 months, na mwenye alikuwa ananunua the lowest tier ends up buying the upper tier, because we are not greedy. We don't really want the money in the beginning. We are really offering value. We are prioritizing you and your experience and what value you're getting from it in terms of, let's say if we have a system, we have system A that can do all accounts, you see, but you wanted a system that can only generate receipts. You see, for me, I'm not giving you a system yenye ina generate receipts. I'm going to give you the whole accounting system. Ukipenda, you end up taking the whole package, So I think kitu ni also for now hapo kwa employment, I think that watu wanakuanga na hii mentality, especially let's say for people who are doing attachment and internship. I'm just being paid 10,000, I'll not offer a lot of value. But I've seen a lot of other friends when you have been going above and beyond, you see, wanafanya kazi till late nights, and in the end it's always rewarding. So give in your best, you see, as much as, let money not drive you, let money not drive you. It's what's driving you is what you have to offer, because tukiona what money is drive, like what if you let money drive you, the value utapeana itakuwa very little, because the job requirements ni ya salary ya mtu anapewa 150 but unalipwa 10,000, so you get very demotivated, you see, and then if the company is going to employ you, it won't employ you anymore. So I think hapo kwa just give your best and give value. I have met a lot of people who usually cluster me in groups thinking because I'm a light skin, sasa niko na pesa, like, and it really triggers me. I feel like it's exploitation, especially with some watu wa pikipiki, if like you're charging someone 100 bob and then juu ni mimi mnaanza kunicharge 150 ama 200, everyone out there is working hard for money. For me it really triggers me, so ataka naweza pigana na mtu juu ya 10 bob, not because that 10 bob is a lot to me, but the fact that you're exploiting me and it's triggering me and it's very wrong. Si ati sasa juu mtu ni light skin unadhani tu ako na pesa, you start charging them vile unataka. The passing of my dad has really been tragic and traumatic, of course. Coming in our family dynamics, we are all ladies. Emotions, of course, kicked in, and we really feel triggered by any small discussion. Not this one, of course, I'm not okay, but for my mom and all that. So second of all, it's that some men in the society wanatuonanga like easy praise, because there's a time after my dad, someone texted my sister telling them wanataka my mom, wanataka kukatia my mom because now she doesn't have a husband. So we really became vulnerable in the society because now we don't have a man in the house. So that's why I had to step in as the man. So coming to that, I feel like sometimes I sit down with my friends and I wonder why my life moves so fast. The priorities I have and the priorities the people when you're the same age kama mimi they have, they're two different things. Kuna mtu nje anatafuta pesa kwenda sherehe. And I'm not saying kwenda sherehe is a wrong thing or anything. I'm just saying that we are in different categories. Imefanya ni grow up so fast. Like I've lost so much of my time. Kitu ningekuwa nafanya ati I'm enjoying out with my friends, I can't. So assume I have like cash I'm saving, yeah? I can't use it like freely because at the back of my mind, I have to know that, I can have my sister mwenye atagonjeka anytime and I'll have to send cash or take care of her, you see. So I feel like it has pushed me to mature up very fast or become a mother, and sometimes that's what actually makes me miss my dad. And I now understand why parents are always, for him, why he was always stressed and he was always so gloomy, because kuna vitu zingine you always try shielding your family from. For example, if I'm having a challenge, I wouldn't want to share it with my mom sometimes because atakuwa stressed. So coming to think why my dad used to react some ways he used to, I now understand. Wanakuanga na hii kitu, oh, you're wasting food, you're wasting this, until ufike hapo ndo utaelewa why he used to tell you you're wasting food, because uchungu ya kutafuta pesa is not easy. So I think it has really pushed me to become like, to grow up very fast, and of which nasikianga hiyo weight sana sana. But all in all, things happen for a reason, and I'm just grateful for the support my family gives me and for the woman my dad made me, most importantly. All moments with him like were the most memorable ones, but he was fond of like nyama choma. He used to do grilled meat for us, angeleta pork. I've never eaten like pork from anywhere since he's gone. Even prior to that, the only pork I used to eat is like the one my dad used to cook, because I used to have this thing in my mind, ameosha vizuri, ameipika vizuri, because I'm scared of tapeworms. So since then, and I don't think I'll ever eat pork again in my life. And also like fish, alikuwa anatuletea fish yenye ni fillet, and I don't like seafood, but the fact he used to force me to eat, small small things too. Like every moment with him is like memorable. I remember each and every like intricate details. Yeah, but the best one, it is like that one yenye nilipita, and he used to do that. And also when I used to go for music festivals, yeah, the bus used to come. So hata kabla bus imestop, imepaka shadandia kwa bus kunitafuta nitoe. So he used to really spoil me, like if my pocket money is like, a certain amount. Like, oh, yeah, by the way, my dad, we were so close with my dad to a point that if like I'm on my periods, I'd tell him, oh, dad, I'm on my periods. And he'd send me money like 10, 15K, oh, buy yourself something. Or, he orders for me pizzas. Oh, my daughter, it's a holiday, eat pizza. We were so close. On my periods, he'd like bring for me the pads I want. Nangeni later 4 liters of chocolate ice cream. Imagine. Like he's been like that, like with like the both of our sisters. We have a third born who didn't experience that, but like us, both of us, the first and second, we really had a good time with him. So that's why, when I say like my standards kwa meniko juu, all thanks to him. Yeah. Initially, my mom always pushed me to do content creation, but I felt like I'm not ready for that. And I wish I had started it sooner. So the first video I uploaded on my channel, ilikuwa tu me traveling and trying to plug people, but I felt like it didn't work well. So as I told you, I deal with digital spaces. There's a course I underwent by Google, and I'm like, why not try it on myself? Because you need to like test it out there. So it was one courses related to the hooks and stuff. So I'm like, okay, let me just record myself and upload it. So I'm like, I started with mshaijiuliza mbona wahindi hulipa mahari, that was like the takeoff of my channel, and people really loved it. So I didn't have any expectations honestly, because the other video didn't perform well. So nililala tu hivi, nimeamka asubuhi, 20,000 views. I was amazed because I was getting multiple followers. I haven't like experienced such a thing. And I'm like, why stop? I continued uploading. I talked to my like friends, wakaniambia what topics they've always been interested in. I touched around all of them. Also, mbona wahindi hawakuli beef. They worship ng'ombe and stuff. So I feel like those are like very, topics zenye Wakenya always wanted to know, and I felt like it took off from there. And also the confidence I got from the first video, the comments were so positive. Of course, you have those few comments, and but they don't really affect me. But the fact that I'm able to relate with people there, on that digital platform, it feels like a family. It no longer feels, I don't do content creation for cash finances. I just do it because I want people to know, and I feel like it's the best way. As you were saying, we usually judge people because of the misinformation. And one thing dividing also Kenya inakwanga hiyo kutojuana, culture and stuff. So I decided, let me take the initiative and use this digital space to now unite Kenyans. Of course, we talked about misconceptions around Indians, and of course, things we always hear, Wahindu kuleta mahari, Indians getting like the caste system. You see, that's we when I go to the digital space, nasikianga ati lakini Wahindi are, they're mean to each other because of the caste system. So I brought that topic outside, and I also brought out this, I think that was like the most viral video on my TikTok, thing that identifying different types of Indians. You see, because we generally think that all people that are light skinned wote ni Wahindi. No. So after that, I think people are able to understand better, because like let's say mtu wa Kilemba Nikala singer, he's a sing, Punjabi, goes to this temple, watu wanavaa kofia, hawa ni bohras, hawa, like, you know, different. So not like categorizing them to be together. Because now Lizwang, oh, Wahindi marry their cousins. And I'm like, no, Indians don't have that thing, you know. So such things, I think a better understanding. And I'm not limited just to Indian stuff. I want to go explore other cultures. I went for a Maasai wedding. You know, I did different stuff, and also, like, I've been telling my friends, mkiwa na sherehe mahali, rora show, mniite. I attend those things. I want to feel how it feels, you know. It opens my eyes. We tell people outside there, tujuane vizuri. You know, we are brothers and sisters, tujuane, tukwe united. I feel like now most people wamekuwa open-minded towards Indians, since now we've started saying that, you know, that someone's character is not related to the community, you see. So a lot of people, napatanga, a lot of ladies in my DM to connect na Muhindi, to connect, you know, they're into that intermarriage aspect, which is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Kini nawambianga, I don't have connections. So second of all, now they are now open to like work with, you know, with Indians, because in being in the entrepreneurial world, and nilikuwa nimeona there are some people, they are, you know, hesitant to work with other people. So at least sahi they can, you know, talk openly, you know, work openly. Wakiwa na any question, they just come to me, you know, where to get this, and I help them source for stuff. And I think life is becoming easier, you know, understanding people's perceptions. I now also understand why people sometimes happen to treat me, you know, I understand where the pain comes from. I have another lady I was interacting with in the digital space. She was telling me how she lost her mom working, like her mom got depressed and killed herself because there's some certain Indian company that haikuwalipia inaitwaje hii pesa kutoka, and then they give you, is it after like working, kuna kwanga na the company is supposed to give you money, ilikuwa pesa due, you know, the company was supposed to pay the mom and like she didn't pay. So ameng'ang'ana court cases 5-6 years, aka give up, like, you know. So I understand why people are beat outside there. So I know when I happen to ever interact with people back from this Indian community, I'll know where to pinpoint and tell them, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what you're doing wrong, you know. I now understand the pain. Whatever, like maybe one culture is experiencing, the other culture is not experiencing. Na mwenye ha experience is wishing this person could experience. Yeah? So vitu tu, let's just appreciate who we are, you know, the people around us. We don't have to be necessarily like other people. We can interact with them, but you know, you never see the value of something until you lose it, you know, vitu ka hiyo. So assume like sasa umesema utaki familia yako ama you don't want your community, sa utolewe, and then, you know, you'll be craving going back there. So I feel like this interaction imenifundisha a lot of things. Kuna beautiful ways to do things, and it has also taught me vile sometimes some people are not appreciative. Like for me, naambiwangwa mnikatie nywele, I take this hair, but for me, I really wish I had the, you know, I don't know, it's called the, can I just call it like the Kenyan hair, yeah? I wish I had 4C. Ningekuwa naeka 2 braids hivi na kaa, because to me, taking care of this hair is very hard. So, you know, for another person, that's a dream. But for me, na dream yo hair yako, you know. So it's very different, and things are very, you know, everyone sees the other person to be better or other things to be better, not remembering also within them there's something beautiful. Similarly to me to vile nilikuwa nasema ati, oh, I'm big, sijui. And remember vile nimekuja in the Kenyan side, I'm being so appreciated, you know, such things too. I feel like, first of all, as humans, to do whatever and however we treat the third person, it always affects, you know, directly or indirectly that person. Someone like, no one knows these kids that actually bullied me for being big. They never knew that it would really affect my self-esteem, you see, but it did. So I think like as humans, tunafaa kujua that whatever we do, in a way or the other, it affects the other human. That is number one. Number two is that, you know, let's not let people define us. Let's define ourselves. I know we don't have to be the same. We have introverted people, we have extroverted people, but never do people pleasing. Do things for yourself. Don't do it because someone wanted to, you know. Napata, there are some people here in Kenya, some mutual friends wanataka kuchukua Ozempic because people want to see them in a better shape. No, stop it. Do it. Do it if you want to do it. Do something because you want to do it. You have the urge. I think hapo kwa people pleasing and how people see us, when we stop thinking about that, we really do things for ourselves. You can get me on TikTok by the name Lean__unfiltered. Similarly on Instagram also, there is an email on my bio where they can get in touch for businesses. Otherwise, you can get to me, Gurleen Kaur at hapalytics.dev. I'm very open to biashara, any other business apart from whatever we have talked. We'll always find a way around it.